welcome back to my channel. I'm your host Mohsen Ali and you are watching Global Scope News. Today we are going to talk about why Kamala Harris lost the presidential election to Donald Trump. Was it because she was not a good candidate, or was it because her campaign faced problems that made it impossible to win? Stay tuned as we break down that went wrong. And don't forget to subscribe to Global Scope News so you don't miss any future analysis like this one. Kamala Harris, the current Vice President of the United States, began her campaign with a lot of hope and excitement. Many Americans thought she could win, as she was the first woman and the first person of color to be nominated by the Democratic Party for president. But as the election day approached, it became clear that she was not able to connect with enough voters. In the end, she lost the race to Donald Trump, and now the question remains, why did this happen? Let's dive deep into the reason. One of the main reasons Kamala Harris lost was that she was unable. She was unable to separate herself from President Joe Biden. As the sitting Vice President, Harris was seen by many voters as a continuation of Biden's policies. In her campaign, she tried to present herself as a fresh face, a new leader who would bring change. But despite her efforts, many voters saw her as just another politician who would keep things the same. One major movement One major movement that hurt her campaign was an interview where she was asked what she would be differently from President Biden. And she answered, "Not a thing comes to mind." This answer is stuck with people and made her look like she had no real vision of her own. It was used by her opponents, especially Republicans, in ads to attack her and show that she had no original ideas, while Harris did try to make it very clear that she was her own person and not just Biden's second command. In command, it didn't work. She was always tied to Biden, who had law approval waiting for most of his presidency. His policies were unpopular with many voters, and this hurt Harris' chances even though she tried to present herself as a different kind of leader. Voters don't see much difference from the policies Biden and put forward. Many Democrats were unhappy with how things were going under Biden, and that feeling rubbed off on Harris. She could not distance herself enough from him to win over voters who wanted change. And another reason why Harris lost was that her campaign did not effectively address the issues that mattered most to voters. Uh, one, one of the biggest concerns for Americans during the election was the economy. People were very struggling with rising prices for everyday items like food and gas. Housing costs were also increasing, making it harder for many people to afford a home. Harris promised to focus on these issues, but she didn't gave clear solution on how she would make things better. Her campaign talked about raising wages and improving the economy. But voters did not feel confidence in her ability to fix these problems. Harris. Harris was often vague when talking about these issues, which left voters unsure about what she would do to improve their lives. Voters were also concerned about the immigration. Many Americans feel that the government was not doing enough to control the situation at the southern border, and they wanted to know what Harris' stance was. But once again, she didn't offer clear answer. She tried to talk about immigration reforms, but her message was not strong enough to win over voters who were worried about the situation. At the same time, she did not want to alienate her party's base, who generally supported more lenient immigration policies. This made it harder for her to connect with both sides of the issues. Kamala Harris campaigns also struggled with getting the support of important voting groups, especially Latino, black voters, and young people. These groups had been a big part of the Democratic Party's success in the 2020 election. But this time, Harris didn't do as well with them. She lost support among Latino voters, also black voters and young voters compared to how Biden had performed in 2020. This was a major blow to her campaign. These were the same groups that had helped Biden win in 2020. And without their supports, Harris' chances of winning became much similar. Harris' campaigns was also hurt by a lack of clear messaging. Throughout the race, she focused a lot on attacking Donald Trump, especially on issues like his headline. In media groups also, the world. I am talking about COVID-19 pandemic and his controversial policies. While it's important to point out Trump's flaws, Harris did not focus enough on what she would do if elected. She didn't provide voters with enough details about her plans or how she would tackle the problems they were facing. Many voters already knew all about Donald Trump's policies and his behavior, but they wanted to know more about what Kamala Harris would do to improve their lives. Unfortunately, her campaign did not give them those answers. One of Harris' big selling point was her focus on women's rights, particularly after the Supreme Court overturned the constitutional right to abortion. She hoped that this would help her connect with women voters, but even in this area, her campaign did not succeed as much as expected. While a majority of women's voters did support her, she didn't get the kind of overwhelming support that she had hoped for. In fact, women voted for Harris at a lower rate than they had voted for Biden in 2020. This was especially noticeable among urban women who were an important group for Harris' campaign. despite her focus on women's rights. She failed to win enough of their support to turn the tide in her favor. As the campaign went on, Harris' strategy became more focused on Trump and less on her own ideas. She called Trump a fascist and used his controversial actions as a way to rally support. However, the tactics didn't work as well as she hoped. Voters already knew about Trump's controversial statements and actions. What they wanted to hear from Harris was how she would address the challenges the country was facing. But instead of giving them that, she spent too much time focusing on how bad Trump was. This made her campaign seem reactive rather than proactive. Harris also tried to show that she could unite the Democratic Party by focusing on issues that were important to the left, like reproductive rights. She hoped she hoped that by doing this, she could win back the working class voters who had turned away from the Democratic Party. However, this strategy also failed to resonate with enough voters. Harris was unable to reach out to the working class voters who had shifted away from the party in recent years. Even though she talked about the need for change, voters didn't feel that her campaign offered a clear path forward. In the end, Kamala Harris' campaign failed to win over the coalition of voters she needed to beat Donald Trump. She didn't get enough support from key groups like Latino, Black, and young voters. Her focus on attacking Trump instead of offering her own clear solution hurt her campaign. And despite her historic candidacy, she could not convince enough voters that she was the right person to lead the country. So, the lack of a strong and clear message combined with her ties to an unpopular president made it impossible for her to win. So that's all for today's analysis. Thank you for joining me on Global Scope News. I hope this in-depth analysis helped you to understand the reason behind Kamala Harris loses. If you want to hear more about political campaigns, current events, and in-depth analysis like this, make sure to subscribe to Global Scope News. I will continue bringing you detailed content. Don't forget to like and comment if you found this video useful, and stay tuned for more insights in the future. Until the next video, take care.